The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only, so don't tell your parents! Listener discretion is advised.
Trick's on you. I had Audacity up the whole time.
Oh,
I just
I've been
hit the
had.
record button. I'm hitting it now. Now. There we go. Recording now.
Not now. Now.
Not there. There. Ha ha! Cookies on dowels.
Welcome to Castlevania!
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, a proud member of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. My name is JD, and it is just me and my good friend Matt this week.
Yo, yeah, Kyle's wasn't able to make it for this episode, but
Kyle is being beaten down by corporate America, and he needed his rest, and we fully respect that. So hopefully he will recover soon, and we will be graced with his presence once more. But Kyle, we miss you. We'll see you soon. This week we are talking about the fourth and possibly final season of Castlevania, just released on Netflix over the weekend. And I don't know about you, Matt, but I think it was a banger of a way to close out these characters.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, this finale of the season, yeah, it closed out in a very, honestly, in a more satisfying way than I expected it to. Yeah, the way they wrapped up a lot of characters, plot lines and stuff, and what characters even alive by the end of the season. I was very surprised, but yeah, I was very satisfied. I do like how this closed out.
Yeah. So at the end of last season, we had Trevor and Sypha teaming up with Saint Germain. Trying to open the Infinite Corridor to find his lost love. Saint Germain was sucked into the Infinite Corridor, and we don't know what happened to him. Trevor and Sypha just left off into the world to just kind of do their thing. Alucard was training these two twin warriors who turned on him, and he subsequently murdered them and put them on stakes outside of his house.
And that yard is starting to look a lot more full of corpses.
I was about to say, he started with 2. He ends up with about 10 or so, just corpses of people outside of his house.
Look, if you want to go to Castlevania to fuck around and find out, then you're going to end up as a fucking corpse on a stake in the front of Castlevania.
Alucard specifically said that he put them out there as a deterrent for people to fuck with him. And I'm pretty sure if I saw 2 people on a spike outside someone's house, I'm like, yeah, maybe we're not going to go there.
He's king shit of fuck mountain. Why would you ever fuck with him?
Castle?
A fuck castle.
So yeah, when we're picking up pretty much a couple, I don't even know how long it's been. At least a few months probably. We pick up. It starts off with Trevor and Sypha. They are now traveling the countryside, killing monsters and vampires. And it's kind of it goes backwards in times and then forwards back in time, kind of show them getting more and more tired of just fighting these monsters every week and just trying to stop all of these people that are trying to resurrect Dracula.
Everyone wants to fucking resurrect Dracula.
Everybody does.
Dracula does not want to be resurrected at all. Just leave the man alone.
Dracula is perfectly happy living with his wife in hell.
Yeah.
They fucking show him at the end of the season, and they're just kind of just holding on to each other in a little corner of hell, and they look perfectly fine.
They're having a good time. Don't ruin it.
Yeah. But, yeah, so Trevor and Sypha eventually arrive at Targovishta, which is the town that fucking Dracula face bombed in the first season. And you kind of get to see the aftermath of that, where it is just falling to shit. It is just falling apart. What people that are still alive are just have lost all sense of self. the ruling class is like living underground and like became a weird resistance force, I guess. And so yeah, that's kind of where Trevor and Sypha's story kind of run for this season, is just them kind of helping Targo Vista kind of like put its shit back together.
And
Alucard, who is basically plagued by a black horse this entire season.
oh yeah.
Just every time the fucking horse shows up, I just love at the very end, he's like, I know that horse.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was a specific reference to the games, like if Alucard has a horse like in those games that looked like that or something.
I think it was just a joke.
Okay.
It's just like this dead guy shows up on a horse at his front door with a message from a nearby town saying, hey, we're being attacked by vampires and monsters. Can you come save us? And then he's just like, this horse just keeps showing up to him just periodically. And he's like, wait a minute.
Either dead or nearly dead people.
Right. But yeah, Alucard's story kind of revolves around him helping this little village and forging this kind of friendship romance with this freedom fighter gal.
Greta.
Greta. Kind of, and she's like not taking any of his shit.
No, and as we're talking about before the show, she's the head woman of Dynasty, which I believe is a callback to the other character from Castlevania 3, which was Grant.
Yeah,
Dynasty.
because Grant. Because it was really weird that, because there's 4 playable characters in Castlevania 3, but they only used Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard. Grant kind of got cut out of the show, but to have a character that has his name and is kind of similar a little bit, but it's at least a nice reference and at least a kind of a way to get him in there.
Yeah, in some respect.
Yeah. We've got a couple different plot lines going on this season. We've got Isaac, who is like still leading his demon army, but he is like having them rebuild a city. And it's real interesting, the conversation like his head night creature has with him, where he's like, why are you having us rebuild a city? We are meant to destroy and eat and drink blood. Why are you having us do this? It's like against our nature. And like Isaac's like trying to like,
he's like, hey dude, have a berry.
Yeah, have a berry. Life's more than what you were programmed to do.
I'm glad that we did get still little bits of Isaac's like, community, like, because that was some of my favorite stuff from like season 3 was Isaac's whole arc where he's like just traveling and meeting all these characters and having these like deep conversations and stuff. That was a lot of my favorite stuff from last season. So there's not tons of it here, but what we do get of it is still very cool.
Yeah. So you kind of get that, and then Isaac kind of eventually decides he's gonna go attack fucking Carmilla's castle. Before that happens, we kind of go back to that castle from last season where Carmilla is having her vampire sisters ravage the countryside to kind of like spread their influence. Meanwhile, like Hector is still kind of bound to what's the
Lenore.
redhead? Lenore, thank you. And
Hector got too horny. He got too horny and he fucked it up.
Hector was a little horny on Maine and he kind of paid the price for it, but
yeah.
He's now agreed to make night creatures for the vampire, so he spends part of the season building a forge hammer so that he can make monsters. And they kind of just, this all kind of convalesces at the end in kind of a pretty satisfying way, I'd say.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. I just want to say, out of the season, it like, I've always thought it was weird that even though that this show has taken bits and pieces from the entire Castlevania franchise, it is mostly rooted in Castlevania 3. I'm constantly impressed that they mined 4 seasons of a show out of one game, like an NES game of all things.
Yeah, so it'll be even more interesting to see, like, because apparently this is the last season of this Castlevania, but the belief is that, and I believe Netflix has already said this, that they do have plans for a new show set in the same universe,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's not a spinoff. So basically, it'll probably focus around a different Belmont. There'll probably be a time
right.
skip.
And before we get out of here, I do want to like maybe speculate about where this could go, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, we spent 4 seasons with these characters, and I feel like all the major characters got pretty satisfying conclusions by the end of this. But I guess maybe just in a general sense, Matt, what did you take away from this season?
Take away, like, in what respect?
Like, did you like it? Do you have any like specific parts you wanted to bring up?
Okay.
Or
Well, fucking, I'll tell you this much. Like I said, I was pretty much completely satisfied with the whole season. I did have one little nitpick, and it's something that they did improve upon from the last season. But I still wish that there was more of it. I really wanted to see more of because last season, as far as all the sort of the vampire lords went, like Carmilla and Lenore and Striga and Morana.
Mhm.
We only get to really see mostly Carmilla and Lenore, from what I can remember.
Mhm.
So in this season, we do get to see a bit more of Striga and Morana.
Dude, Striga has like one of the best fight scenes
I know,
in this season.
and that's my complaint. Is that we didn't get enough of fucking Striga being a badass brick
Just
shithouse lesbian
beating-
beating ass in her fucking day armor. Like, oh my god, that was like my favorite. That might have been like my favorite scene in the whole fucking show. The armor looks so fucking dope, and I just fucking big woman in a fucking armor just beating ass. Like, I wanted more of it.
Oh no, it's just well, we can talk about that scene for a minute. Just like first off, she's like, okay, villagers are attacking. It's in the middle of the day. And they're like, okay, fuck, what are they gonna do? Because they're vampires or whatever. And she basically tells her
Morana.
what Marana, yeah, she tells Marana's like, get in the box.
Get in the box, Morana.
And then she gets like, it's like, what are you gonna do? She like pulls out like this fucking black ass armor that's like all covering, and she just puts it on, and you see her walk out of the tent, and you just immediately know shit is about to go down. And she just lays waste to all of these farmers that are coming to attack them, just like almost single-handedly with this giant fuck off sword hammer thing.
It was so fucking cool.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
It's it's making me think of now, and I kind of want to go and see if anyone's done it yet. But did you ever see Star Wars Rogue One?
Yes.
Okay, do you remember near the end of that movie when fucking they're about to pass the plans off to the rebels, and they fucking lock off the corridor, and like Darth Vader like puts on the lightsaber, and like he does that whole scene where he's just beating ass? No, but it's very specifically, do you remember on YouTube somebody set that scene to fucking Gimme More by Britney Spears? Like, he fucking powers on the lightsaber and just, it's Britney, bitch, and then it fucking plays a song. Like, I'm hoping somebody's done that with the fucking Striga's scene.
I have not seen that, but that sounds amazing.
If nobody's made it yet, I'm gonna have to. But yeah, yeah, and it was just, I saw that, I was like, God, I wanted to see her use more of it, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
Not to get too ahead of, talking about the fates, all the characters and stuff, but since we are talking about her specifically right now, I am very glad, at least, that as far as any of the characters to live to the end of the series, at least Striga and Morana managed to survive the events of fucking Castlevania. Like,
Yeah, they just kind of like, they get back to the castle, see that it's under siege, and I'm like,
they see fucking an explosion off in the distance, and they're like, "Oh shit, Carmilla's dead. Let's go that direction and be lesbians over there and fucking live our lives." And they're like, "Okay," and fucking honestly, good for them. Like, fucking, you do that. I hope you live forever.
They're just gonna go and just see a big explosion. I'm like, well, no, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad that those two are alive, because that also means that there's potential to maybe see them again in another Castlevania show.
Yeah, definitely. I know so I am trying to paraphrase my wife a little bit here. I don't think she was very happy with the way that Carmilla went out.
Really?
So
Because fucking just taking down like tons of demons and like.
if my wife listens back to this and I misquote her, I'm sorry, but this is what I took away from her explanation: is that Carmilla has this big speech to Lenore about basically when she goes nuts and say, "I'm going to take over the world." Is that she like spent her entire life being, cast aside, pushed down, and mostly because she's a woman, and now that she's like has this amount of power that she's going to use it to basically take over the world because of how she was always put down. But I think her complaint was that it seemed a little disingenuous isn't the word I want to use, but basically that Isaac is the one that killed her, that basically is just having a man take her down after she had this big kind of speech about how basically men have treated her during her life. I can kind of get that a little bit. I think it would have been maybe a little more impactful if maybe one of the other vampires women may have taken her down. But I will say from an animation standpoint, the Isaac Carmilla fight is also amazing.
Oh, well, yeah, no, let's not get it twisted. Like, that fucking Striga fight is, like, my favorite in the series, but that's not to fucking say that any of the other fights that don't happen, not just in the whole show, but it's specifically in this season. There's a lot of great fucking fight scenes, like, in this season alone.
Yeah, they're one of the final well, actually, there's two at the end that I really want to talk about in a minute, but no, just having, like, Carmilla constantly being beaten down by all these night creatures, just filling up this room with blood till the entire floor is covered, and then Isaac just comes in. Yeah, and Isaac just comes in, and they just start having this like amazingly choreographed fight, and all I can think about is like Carmilla is doing this entire fight in heels.
Yeah.
But just to see her like just slowly losing it during the fight as just like Isaac, just wears her down, and even to like just see her go out, that she's not going to give Isaac the satisfaction of letting him kill her, as if she actually kills herself.
Yeah, so the fucking that's the thing, is that fucking Isaac didn't kill her, Carmilla killed Carmilla. Like,
I guess so, but
you didn't win, I win.
It's true. So I kind of liked. I mean, I just liked the entire choreography of that fight, and just like I've never understood, like, do you have to be like, how does your power level work to when you're destroyed, how big your explosion is?
Yeah, because we see Ratko like explode when he gets killed later too.
Yeah, he just like kind of fills a room or something.
Yeah,
but like Camilla like destroys half her castle exploding.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the longer you live or something. I'm trying to remember when Dracula died in season 2.
Yeah,
how big did he even let off a big explosion? I don't think he did.
I don't remember, honestly. It's
no, because I was thinking if they did, then fucking Alucard's childhood room would have been like destroyed, right? And that's intact in this season.
Well, maybe it's the castle regenerates or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know. I said, I haven't watched those seasons since they aired, so it's a little hard to remember.
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
So yeah. Man, I like how in the season that they were showing how Trevor and Sypha have really learned how to work together. You see a lot of their choreography working off of each other.
Team dynamic, man. It's some good stuff.
Which, honestly, I feel like Sypha is like one of the toughest fighters in this, because I feel like more often than not, most of the fights were Sypha blasting dudes with magic, and Trevor's just off in the corner getting his ass beat by somebody.
Listen, he's picking off the stragglers.
He is. It's just funny where you see like Sypha just being all confident and powerful, and just like Trevor's just like fighting one dude off in the corner.
Oh my
Um,
god! In the very first episode, I mean, the season's filled with like a bunch of really cool magic shit from Sypha. Like later on, she mostly just controls like water, ice, and fire and stuff. But she actually learns how to fucking control lightning like halfway
yeah, it
through
just
the
kind of
season.
comes upon her ability to control lightning at some
Yeah,
point.
which
Kinda
I was
just
gonna, I was gonna make some parallels to Avatar, like specifically related to the Carmilla thing, where it was giving me off vibes of like
yeah, she's giving Azula vibes.
yeah, Zula fighting Zuko vibes, kind of. And so, like,
Yeah.
with the fucking now Sypha being able to do like the lightning bending and stuff.
Oh,
Like,
there are points in this where Sypha kind of goes Avatar state for a minute.
yeah. But no, there's like one of my bits that I just made sure to write down because I kind of wish he had done it more. Although maybe it would have lessened its impact. But in the very first episode, there's a bit where Trevor and Sypha are fighting in the rain, and like she makes this big fucking ice donut, and then just expands it around her and Trevor,
Oh.
and just fucking bisects like 10 different
Just
demons.
makes it
Like,
into a fucking saw and just like cuts dude in half.
yeah, it's so rad. And then like she fucking dissipates the donut, and then like the rain starts falling again. Like,
Jesus.
yeah, she's fucking powerful. Like, I'm honestly surprised that I don't know. It feels like with how they've demonstrated her powers, it would seem like she'd be a bit OP, but they managed to make it seem a bit balanced, like in that respect.
But I feel like they really had her character shine in this season. I mean, she really kind of cracks the whip at no pun intended. At the people of Targovishta, because they're like the royalty isn't really taking care of the people, and they've got all these resources. So she like kind of like gets on the ass of their leader and like, you need to start helping these people. They don't know shit anymore. But I'm gonna be a little dumb and say like one of my favorite Sypha moments of this is like towards the beginning where she like she says shit and Trevor's just like, did you just say shit? And just like, you turned me into a person that says shit, and just like starts firing off all these expletives.
It's really funny, yeah, because both Sypha and Alucard have multiple moments, like in the first half of the season, where they're like, "Oh my god, I'm turning into Belmont," like, or fucking like, yeah, Sypha's like cursing, and like her general demeanor is like becoming more agitated, and like Alucard, like I think he sees himself in the mirror, and like he's just like a bit dirty. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm turning into Belmont." Like,
It's like he eats like shit. He doesn't bathe himself anymore because he's so fucking depressed from being alone.
yeah. Oh boy.
But
I gotta say, as far as because especially when you're like on your last season and you're probably know that you're not going to have another season that kind of develop more characters and stuff. I feel like a lot of the characters that they introduced here got just enough time to kind of flesh them out a bit. Like we're talking about like Greta. We haven't mentioned Zamford, who's like the sort of head of the court, like the underground court. She's kind of like the head of security or whatever there. And she has some like cool moments there too. And then there's of course it was the two vampires that we see is Ratko and Varney.
Varney.
Varney
has like an out of fucking nowhere turn.
And I'm so glad about that, because when I heard him in the first episode, I'm like, oh my god, that's Malcolm Mcdowell.
Yeah.
Malcolm McDowell as a fucking like throwaway like vampire. But then the dude just kept on coming back. And then to find out later, like, oh my god, it was all a ruse. And I'm so glad Malcolm McDowell wasn't just playing like some fucking random vampire. He ends up playing death himself. Like,
okay, so it was so looking back on this, it was there the whole time. Because if you know, during the whole like showing what Trevor and Sypha have been up to, they come across these cultists who are doing a sacrifice at an altar of death. Like it has a statue of the Grim Reaper, and like Sypha and Trevor have a whole conversation about it. And
is that actually what death looks like? Like,
yeah. And just like, yeah. But if you know anything about Castlevania, is death is Dracula's right hand man. You always fight this big Grim Reaper dude. So I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of a fun little nod. But Varney also shows up in that episode and it keeps going on about like, well, Dracula personally sent me here, and he keeps like trying. He really is trying to like play up his own importance. But yeah, towards the end of the season, where he kind of just reveals to the Saint Germain, like, no, I've been death the whole time, and the reason I kept like trying to influence all these people to resurrect Dracula is because I can't do anything myself because I can't affect physical things.
Yeah, I think he said something on the lines of like, was it death is his meat or something, or like he grows people dying.
I just thought it was funny because it's Malcolm McDowell and he brings that kind of sass that he has.
Yeah.
He's basically just like, I have like this, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I have this lust to like for death and all these things, but I can't touch anything, but all these mortal people can do it. Well, how fucked up is that?
Yeah, it's no less like for as important a character as Death is, he's still got that like that vulgarity to like his dialogue. Yeah, I did want to say it was funny because I was remarking to a friend when I was watching him like, oh shit, it's fucking Malcolm McDowell doing his greatest role since his turn as the villain in Tank Girl. No, but then it was funny because right after I made that remark, I'm like, "Oh, actually, you know what? No, that's not true. This is actually his greatest role." And I went to go look for it, and I want to make this well known. Apparently, YouTube has scrubbed the existence of Malcolm McDowell's Lunchables commercials from existence. You cannot find them anywhere on YouTube.
I don't remember that being a thing.
Yes, he did fucking like 3 commercials for it was Lunchables Uploaded. And it's basically the whole point of this commercials is it's him like it's filming a commercial within a commercial, and it's Malcolm McDowell like pretending to be a kid amongst like these tweens and like acting like a fucking millennial, and it's hilarious. God. They're amazing, but you can't fucking find them on YouTube anywhere. I looked for like 10 minutes and I couldn't find them anywhere. I have no idea why they've gone on this grand crusade to erase this like important piece of media from YouTube.
It's lost media now, man.
It's not lost media. You can find it in other places on the internet, but of course YouTube's going to be the first place anyone looks. So fucking go out there and just Google search fucking Malcolm McDowell's Lunchables commercial, and it's incredible. And also go watch Tank Girl.
Okay, I've never watched that, but actually, I think I saw a little bit of it on TV once.
There's a bit of animation in that movie. I think that qualifies it enough for an Ink and Paint Club episode.
It's got an animated intro. It qualifies.
It's got an animated outro too, from what I remember.
All right, maybe we'll think about it.
Jeremy Snow here, owner and editor-in-chief of The Geekly Grind. I'm interrupting your awesome, regularly scheduled programming to ensure that you know about our Geekly Grind podcast network, of which this show is a treasured member of. If you haven't had a chance to check out our site, you can do so at www.thegeeklygrind.com, and while you're there, check out the other members of our steadily growing podcast family, including the anime-centric Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, discovering new heroes and comic book keepers with Chris and Lance, exploring the vast universe of geekdom with Geeksploration, or of course appreciating animation's finer details with the Ink and Paint Club. Escape your weekly grind at the Geekly Grind.
For the last... I'm pretty sure they weren't together all of last season. So Trevor and Sypha have been together, and Alucard's just kind of been off in his castle being miserable.
Yeah, they weren't together at all in season 3.
Right. And for the most part, they weren't together in this season. But man, when Trevor and Sypha show up at the castle and Alucard's there, and they are basically trying to stop Saint Germain from doing his Dracula revival spell, which we can talk about Saint Germain here in a minute.
Yeah.
Just the fight scene with all 3 of them back together again, perfectly playing off of each other. My God. I want to watch that fight again. There are not a lot of things in this life that I will go back and watch a second time. In so close succession to each other, but I want to watch that fight scene again because, man, there's some like. I just want to say for the last season of wrapping these characters' arcs up, there is just some amazing animation in this. To just the fight scenes a lot of the time are very fluid, like almost like it's rotoscoped. It's just it is just so amazingly put together, and the people at Powerhouse like just did a fantastic job.
Madhouse? Where's the
I think
Powerhouse?
Powerhouse did it. Madhouse is the anime studio.
Oh, okay. From what I can recall, I think the same studio is doing. I think they're doing the recently announced He-Man show for Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can, just from what we've seen here, like that's already got me kind of excited to see what they'll do there as well.
It's
Like,
weird because like the same studio that does this is going to go do He-Man, but the director of this is going to go do Devil May Cry.
the director, not the okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that because that's something that we should definitely bring up is, well, you know, maybe we'll wait until the end of it because yeah, there's a whole bit here about how this is like the last season and how there's some controversy with Warren Ellis, who kind of, you know, was the showrunner, he's not the director, but he was the showrunner,
Right.
and why that might all tie in, but yeah, we can get back to that later.
Sure.
You brought up Saint Germain though.
Yeah, so Saint Germain has a real weird turn in this season. So you think he's just like this nice old guy, and he's really just trying to get his love back from this like other dimension. And at the end of this last season, he got sucked into the other dimension, the infinite corridor, and he was just left there. That's where we left last season. But now in this season, it cuts back to him in the corridor, and he ends up finding the weird library dimension, where he last saw, his girlfriend wife. It's never really specified what she is. You even see her in a flashback. She doesn't say a damn thing.
His partner. Or
His partner.
Just to stay vague about it.
His lady friend.
Yeah.
Which he I just love the weird aside he makes. Just like, once this is over, I'm gonna get to have sex again.
Yeah.
So fucking. But no, he goes to this library dimension and meets like this otherworldly being, which I think we find out is also Death.
Yeah, I think that specific persona is referred to as the alchemist.
Right.
Because that's the whole thing. That's the whole crux of like this ending bit is like Saint Germain trying to perform alchemy on the spirits of Dracula and Lisa to like put them into like one body, like a homunculus or something.
It's called a rebus. But yeah, basically they just sewed together a bunch of lady and dude parts to make this weird hermaphrodite character. It's got no face or anything. It's a weird Frankenstein monster. But yeah, basically, in order to perform the ultimate goal of alchemy, to create this perfect being, he's going to fuse the souls of Dracula and his wife into this creature, which will then grant him the ability to navigate the infinite corridor at his will, I guess, I think is the ultimate goal of it. But man, to see his like descent having to accomplish this is you just see him become like an absolute dickhole, just murdering people left and right to get what he needs, and like murdering people, but also having a crisis about it at the same time, because it's like not really what he wants to be doing, but like the alchemist convinces them like, hey, if you want your lady back, you're gonna have to murder some people.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting that we do get to see that progression, though, because a lot of the characters that we see that have already kind of become corrupted by this and are trying to resurrect Dracula for that specific means and purposes or whatever, we only see them like at the very end of their corruption. We don't see like the whole timeline of it. When we first see Saint Germain in this season, they kind of do like a fun little. Because in the previous episode they had done the little flashbacks with Trevor and Sypha showing like what happened in the last since the end of the last season, and with Saint Germain they show kind of like even before we see him in the last season, where like they're showing kind of his progression throughout like his his youth to like his aging and stuff, and like how he's just become more beaten down by life, and how his name doesn't carry the weight that it once did, or that sort of thing.
Yeah, because it was weird because I mean, he shows up when Alucard goes to this village to help out, and he shows up, and Alucard doesn't know who he is, but we as the audience know who he is. And I'm like, wait a second, we left him in a hell dimension last time we saw him. How is he here? But yeah, it goes into his backstory, and I love that it just shows him like as a young man, and he is just like, this. He's an advisor to kings. He is a scholar. He is all kinds of things, and just see him, like you said, getting beaten down over the years of all these like royal people that he goes to meet.
He's looking for a job wherever he can get one, basically, by the end of it.
I just like that the last person he goes to, I was like, and I'm this, and whatever else you want. I don't know, man. But he's basically just beaten down until he meets this woman. And then they end up like try to open the infinite corridor because, alchemy and whatnot. And you get to see her get stuck in there. And then it kind of, works its way up to modern time after he met Trevor and Sypha the first time and everything that happened there. And then all the way up to now he's like, okay, well, I gotta start murdering some people and all that good shit.
Here I go killing again.
Here I go killing again. So yeah, just watching his journey, and even to have him at the very end after he's realized that death is playing the whole time, his like, oh shit, what have I done moment. And even how he kind of is the reason Trevor doesn't die at the end.
Yeah, because we kind of see like a little inkling of him not being completely dead by death's hand after he's resurrected or tried to resurrect Dracula and Lisa. And then, the belief is that there's like this whole ending fight with Trevor and Death. And like, it seems like they both die, but then, the big reveal later on being that, oh no, shit, Trevor survived. Like, it takes like some weeks for him to like make it back to Castlevania where, Alucard and Sypha's, just about to leave. So what fate them crossing paths just before,
right.
She goes back to the her caravan.
I mean, yeah, let's go ahead and just talk about the fucking Trevor versus Death fight at the very end.
Incredible.
Oh my god. Like the second that after the Rebus plan has failed, Death picks up like this key that's been filled with souls that Saint Germain has been using, and just uses it to basically power himself up into like this giant hell beast. And just watching Trevor and Death just beat the shit out of each other, and just like all this flame animation and just it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh man. It's just like the colors, like it's just these vibrant, bright colors with all this like supernatural power going around. But yeah, it's like Trevor has been basically subtly been picking up all these like artifact pieces, like a dagger and this gem and like a couple other things throughout the season, and he finally like pulls it out at the end with all the pieces assembled, and he basically knows that like he gives Sypha the Han Solo goodbye.
Yeah, I think he says something because the reveal being that Sypha's pregnant, and they say something like, "What was the name?"
He's like, "Don't call it Trevor."
Oh god!
Because I think in the early seasons that Sypha mispronounced his name as Trevor or something.
Oh, was that the joke? Okay,
I think that's what it was if I remember correctly. But he basically just he's like, "I'm about to go die, so just remember, Trevor is a terrible name for a child." Which up to that point, I don't think there had been any indication, at least that I saw, that had been revealed that Sypha is pregnant. But that was kind of a nice reveal there at the end. But yeah, Trevor just like, I'm gonna use this magic dagger on Death to defeat him, but it's gonna kill me to do it. But yeah, so he kills Death, I guess, which I like their kind of explanation that he's not actually Death, he's just a being that like feeds on Death, so they just call him Death. Right. He's just a big skelly man. But yeah, so Saint Germain opened the infinite corridor right at the time that Trevor was putting the final touches on murdering Death, and sent him into the corridor, which that ended up saving him, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, fucking Yeah, and it was a great reveal of, like, having nearly dead Trevor showing up on the horse and fucking Sypha breaking down, and it was that whole ending bit where they're just like, somebody come over here and kill this man. Like,
I don't know. It just starts off like I was saying. Is like the horse comes back and everyone's like looking at it like, what is that? And Alucard's like, I know that fucking horse. And just like, we don't know how Trevor got on the horse. He's just there. But yeah, Trevor just comes back on half unconscious on the back of the black horse that's plagued Alucard this whole season. And yeah, he's just like half dead, kind of explains, how he's alive, and it's kind of sweet, but also kind of a little, I don't know. I was kind of expecting Trevor to die, and then like Sypha was gonna be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go off and do into the world and whatever. But it has a kind of a nice ending where Alucard has kind of made his kind of grown affectionate to humankind, and he has a sassy girlfriend now.
Yeah.
And
I just looked it up, by the way. It was Treffy. Treffy was the name.
Treffy. But yeah, so Alucard has basically agreed that like, okay, we're gonna rebuild this village that all these people came from because it got destroyed. Basically, we're gonna rebuild it around the Dracula's castle and the Belmont, the Belmont home. Yeah, the Belmont hold. And like Sypha is pretty much since Trevor died has been holed up for like 2 weeks. And then she's like getting ready to leave. Like, I'm gonna go find my people. I should be with them when my baby's born because they know how to deal with that. And basically, Alucard spends a few minutes like trying to convince her, like, you should just stay here, and we're gonna form a society here. We could use you and all that. And just like the sweet way to really just convince her. She's like, well, what are you going to call a society of it? And she's like, I think we're going to call it Belmont. And it's like, that was what tips her over the edge. Like, okay, I think I'd like to live in a place called Belmont.
Yeah.
And then like, I thought that would have been a really sweet ending just to end it there. But then it immediately turns to like, oh wait, Trevor's coming back on a horse. So he's not dead. But that's kind of a nice ending where, I just imagine that the three of them are going to just like hang out in this village and just be buds, and Trevor and Sypha are gonna raise their kid, which I think is like the canon ending to Castlevania 3 anyway, was that Sypha and Trevor got married and just went off and had babies. You gotta make more make more Belmonts, man.
Exactly. You gotta keep that Belmont bloodline going.
Dracula ain't gonna stay dead forever, which you want to talk about the weird ending to this?
Yeah, so that's the biggest fucking reveal is that while the whole plan to put Dracula and Lisa in the Rebus kind of semi-succeeded but then failed right after, apparently it was enough to actually just bring them to life in separate bodies, because fucking the very last scene of the whole show is they're fucking alive, like, and they're just like staying in an inn and like, look, and they're wondering why the hell they're alive. And
they're like, we just woke up at a field yesterday. Not sure how, but yeah, we just stole some clothes. And like, I love that Lisa's like, we should go back and do something for those people. We took their clothes.
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't feel too bad about picking the pockets of those people so we get money to stay here. It's like, they were probably just bad people anyway. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where the season ends, is that like Dracula and his wife are alive again, and they're just gonna go travel and, just live life now. So, I mean, I guess I don't know where that really leaves us then. I mean, Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard's, at least Trevor and Sypha's story are pretty much complete now. We know that
Hector and Isaac don't. Their whole thing was to try to resurrect Dracula again, but they decided against that.
We spent 3 seasons with Hector and Isaac, and I just really like how their gradual turn to like, you know what? I just want a normal life, man. Like, I love what Isaac asks when he finds Hector at the end. He's like, he's asking Hector what he wants to do, and he's like, look, man, I just want to be alone. I want to read. That's all I really want out of life, and I just want to do it with my vampire girlfriend.
Who just walks into the sun.
Just like how Lenore's like, She's like, I want to go see the sun that everyone's going on about. And then I was like, I'm not impressed. And then fucking turns into dust.
Yeah, that was. Oh no, that was actually preceded by a very fun scene where it's Lenore and Hector drinking wine, and she fucking gets to the bottom of her glass and she tosses it like fucking Dracula in Symphony of the Night, and smashes.
Yeah, it just throws it against the wall.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Everyone got a happy ending.
Everyone pretty much got a happy.
The main trio got a happy ending. Hector and Isaac are fine and good. Dracula and Lisa are alive. Fucking Striga and Morana are alive.
Yeah, so only a few real main people died. I mean, mostly just fucking Lenore and Carmilla are the only main ones that are dead.
Yeah.
Which, whatever.
Really, it would have been great if, like, in the spirit of resurrecting characters, the final scene of the show should have been fucking Godbrand showing up and just resurrecting shit. Godbrand!
I miss Godbrand.
He was taken from us way too soon.
He was.
Good
so yeah, I mean,
Stormare.
yeah, I guess that can kind of lead us into like where we think Castlevania is going to go from here. So I was looking at Castlevania 3 is actually pretty early in the timeline. I think it may be like the second game in the timeline. So if you wanted to go forward, which I would assume you would, I feel like they could easily, if they wanted to dip into like original Castlevania and tackle Simon, or what I think would kind of be more interesting is tackle
like Rondo
of Blood and Symphony of the Night, where you get Alucard back, but now he's teamed up with Richter and there's a female character in there. I cannot remember her name.
Well, I think I was even seeing people throw around the idea of doing something with what was it, Leon? The Belmont that Trevor talks about, his predecessor.
Yeah, going back to the original one, which they could also do.
There's a lot of potential for what they could go, where they could go from here, and the whole belief being that if they're doing a whole okay, right. So since we're kind of talking about the end of this, this is what I was kind of alluding to before. There was some controversy with Warren Ellis, who was like the showrunner for Castlevania. Sometime last year, and it was said that after season 4 he wasn't going to have any more involvement in Castlevania. They're basically taking him off the show, only for them to say, season 4 is actually going to be the last season. So I'm wondering if the reason, and it's probably not, I think it's just coincidental. I think it was more them saying, he's not going to have any involvement in any other future Castlevania projects. Because I think a lot of people were saying, like, if season 4 is his last thing that he's worked on and they're ending season 4, then they're just doing that so that they can't, continue the show or something. But it's like, it's not, I don't think it's about that. I think it's just more like, they've reached the end of like what they want to do with this specific cast of characters from this era of Castlevania, and they just kind of want to go on and do something fresh. Like like I said, they could. There's so many different ones, and they don't even have to tackle it in chronological order. They've already done. They've started with Castlevania 3. They could have started with like Leon, and then kind of like what they do with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. They could have gone chronologically, but they didn't. So they could easily just skip to doing like Rondo Blood, Symphony of the Night, like with Richter.
I'm just hoping they're not going to get
in the future and do the shit with like Alucard in Japan, with like Soma Cruz. And,
I was about to say, let's not get into Circle of the Moon and Harmony of Dissonance era stuff. Let's just kind of save that for maybe maybe the 4th or 5th iteration of this show before we start getting to the modern day future stuff.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, they could go in whatever direction they want. Like, it honestly fits, because like a lot of it's like pretty much self-contained. It's not like, I mean, they allude to like, from my understanding of Castlevania anyway, it's not necessary to have played through the games chronologically or anything, especially because a lot of those like early, NES, Super NES games like that don't require necessarily having kind of complete understanding of like the overall lore or anything.
Sure. And honestly, if there's anything I can give this show credit for, and I can give it a lot of credit for a million different things, is how it portrayed these characters and this world in a way that you would not need to know this is a video game or have any idea what Castlevania the video game series is. My wife, who has little to zero knowledge of what Castlevania is, loves this show. Just from the great character writing, the amazing animation, and just like the very intricate story that they put together over the last 4 seasons. Like, I feel as like if you like good story and you're not too put off by casual demon murder.
And just a lot of vulgarity,
Yeah, no, this show is just like, it's gonna throw swears and blood at you at every turn, and you're just gonna have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And man, they get some creative with some demon murder in this season. So, I mean, we didn't even talk about fucking Alucard's fight in the forest with the acid spider, where he's like zipping around and like a red laser.
Yeah, like there was just so much cool shit this season. It's hard to really talk about it all. It's really just better if you go watch it. Like watch now that this season's wrapped up, this whole arc is like completely done. So now you can just go watch the whole thing on Netflix, and like it's absolutely worth watching. The show's great.
Yeah, and I'm kind of at the point where it's like I might give it a few weeks, maybe to like where don't have a lot of things to watch. I think I would actually like to rewatch this show in its entirety, front to back, just kind of because these came out like a year apart. You know, you kind of I mean, Netflix does give you like a quick recap of the previous season before you start a new one, which was helpful going into this, but just kind of to get the entire story all in one might be helpful. That way, maybe I'd see plot threads maybe I didn't connect myself this time around. So I might do that maybe soon.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely be down to rewatch now that the whole show's out. Like, I would definitely be in favor of like, checking out the whole show again.
Maybe we can get a watch party going or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, if you have not watched Castlevania, like, my God, what are you doing? Like I said, as long as you're not really hung up on blood and naughty words, this is an animated show you should be watching. Especially now that this story is over. They're working on another story in universe, and I'm excited to figure out whatever point in the Castlevania timeline that they're going to work on. I think if I had my way, I think I would personally go for the Rondo of Blood night Symphony of the Night era. Partly because we've been endeared to Alucard, so we would kind of get to see what he's been up to over the centuries. But obviously, I just don't know too much about like the lore of original Castlevania and like what Simon's all about. So
yeah, and that's actually the reason why, like, if I had to pick, I would pick like going with Simon's like series of games there. Castlevania 1 and 2 and 4, I think. Unless I think 4 is a remake of 1. I don't know. Either way, yeah.
4 it's like an updated remake.
I would like to see them like develop Simon, because I would like to see put more character into him and such. Like, because as far as the Castlevania games go, I've only ever played the very first Castlevania, and then my familiarity aside from that comes from Castlevania's representation in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, like with Simon and Richter and everything they brought with them there.
I played a little bit of the first one. I played most of 4. I'd say most of Rondo of Blood, and I think I'm almost at the final boss in Symphony of the Night, which I need to finish that. Which it was really funny. Because I think last year or the year before, Konami put out this like, we're gonna put Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night out as a package, and I sat down and played Symphony of the Night. Never played it before in my life. 7 hours went by, and my wife remarked to me after 7 hours, like, I've never seen you sit down and play a video game this long before, because my attention span is notoriously short when it comes to video games. So the fact that I just sat there for like 7 or 8 hours just playing Symphony of the Night,
it's a testament to how good that game must be.
Yeah, I'm like almost at the final boss, which I assume at that point the castle will flip over and I game again. Which, you know, that's an old spoiler. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Castlevania is definitely one of the series that I definitely wanted to check out more of. You know, like I said, just playing the first game, I've always had really fun times just playing that. But you know, as far as like understanding the overall lore and like checking out to see how the series progressed after that, and now that they've got the two handy collections for that, you've got the collection that has Rondo Blood and Symphony of the Night, and then you have the collection that has like 1, 2, 3, 4, like the Game Boy games, that sort of thing.
Which I'm just gonna say. If you were like me and your first exposure to Castlevania was the original game when you were a child and could not get past the first level, I'm just going to say Castlevania The Adventure is like, it's not great. It's kind of janky, and that's not even an unpopular opinion.
Listen, man, I'm going to try to adapt some games for like portable hardware. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
I have heard nothing but good things about the GBA Castlevanias, and I've many people a second Castlevania Anniversary Collection that they need to make a package with the GBA and maybe the DS games.
I gotta absolutely. I mean, I would be dumbstruck to find that those two collections that they put out didn't do well financially, because fucking Konami's not making new games. So
it spent basically nothing putting those together.
And that's like the other thing too, is that with the success of this show, and for Konami to not capitalize on the success of the Castlevania show in any way, like to have any new Castlevania games come out like in this whole time that they've been doing the Netflix show, it's like, what the fuck are they doing over there?
I mean, if anything, it got more people to like check out the Castlevania series, because like I was watching, we were watching the first season and we got a few episodes in and like, I really want to check this series out again. And I immediately went on up and downloaded Castlevania 4 for my 3DS. And that's basically how I played it.
Yeah. But I mean, you get what I mean though, right? It's very historically known, like, especially now, just for not
I think it was announced that Konami is going to be at E3 this year, and they did release a game.
They just put out an announcement like last week saying that they withdrew.
Oh shit, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Oh. Which means that they might be doing their own thing later in the year or something, hopefully. Or maybe they just realize that they can't show off pachinko machines at fucking E3 and realize that that's a good idea.
We gonna get like a Konami Direct in August or something?
Yeah, it's all pachinko machines.
Basically, I think what you need to get out of this is Konami, get your shit together.
Get your shit together, Konami.
Or if you're not gonna make Castlevania or Metal Gear games, then
give it to somebody else.
Yeah, just license them out to other people. Like you license Metal Gear out to Platinum that one time. Like just fucking let other people that want to make those games, let them do it. Let someone make a Silent Hill. And I'm not even a Silent Hill fan.
For God's sake, they're just sitting on fucking 3.
They're just
Yeah. Anyway.
Sitting on gold. Anyway. I think that'll do it for this week. Castlevania is great, guys. Go watch it. Even if you're not a fan of the games, go watch it. It's great.
Maybe you will be a fan. Maybe you'll feel keen on checking out the games afterward.
Maybe you'll be like me. Watch it and be like, seems pretty neat. I want to go check out more of this. And then now I own both the collections on 2 different systems. But
you gotta double dip sometimes.
Well, no, I bought they put the Rondo and Symphony one only out on PlayStation, but the Anniversary Collection's on both. So I have the Anniversary Collection on.
Oh, is that a fact? Huh.
Yeah, it's on Switch and PlayStation. I don't know if it's on Xbox, but it was weird because I got the Symphony and Rondo one because I was only on that. But when it came to like, okay, you can get the Anniversary Collection on Switch or PlayStation, I'm like, well, most of these games on here were on Nintendo systems, so maybe I should get this on the Nintendo console. I'm weird like that.
I get it. Fucking you got to keep everything within the same family.
Brand loyalty.
Yeah.
Uh,
One last note I did want to bring up that I'm disappointed with. I really wish she would have elaborated when she mentioned this, but I would have loved to have seen just like a little flashback scene when Striga mentions the story about 18 squirrels murdering a dog. But that's my only other little nitpick.
I completely forgot about that. All right. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Stay safe out there, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening. You can find all the links to our social media pages in the episode description. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and join our Discord. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. The Ink and Paint Club is happy to be part of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network. We'll see you next time.